Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I am your host, Ty Christensen. I'm joined with Cameron Mickle.
A friend is a gift you give yourself.
We're joined with Jordan Christensen. Jordan?
Christensen?
I know, I'm looking for a quote. Give me a second.
How about just... Ah! Ah! That was a pretty good quote. That's my favorite quote from this movie. Okay.
Just hello. I can't find anything.
Remember, Jordan's going to stop doing... He's going to be doing less editing on this podcast for now. I'm just kidding, Jordan. Hey, good to have you on, Jordan. How are you feeling today?
Stressed. All right, let's just start talking.
We're only starting this 50 minutes late, but it's going to be so much better, I promise. We're also joined by first comer, Justin Watanabe. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Wasabi.
I literally told you before. Watsaba.
Watsaba.
Watsaba. Remember,
Watsaba.
I will never ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
Yeah, because he'd kill a coworker. Psycho.
Very good, very good. Today we are discussing Nightcrawler. This film came out in 2014, directed by Dan Gilroy. Stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, Bill Paxton, Marco Rodriguez, Michael Papa John. Wait, his name is literally Papa John? Oh my gosh. Sorry, that's great. His name is Michael Papa John. I'll never get over that. Papa John, worst pizza of all time. James Hwang, Kent Socknick, and of course, I'm just trying to get to Fergie. She's in here somewhere. Where is she? I don't even see her. Wait, maybe it's because I don't know her real name.
Yeah, she has a different name. Fergie's just her
real
singer name.
That's weird. I don't even know what her real name is. So there you go. All right. Well, we're going to go around, say a little bit about this film. What was it like watching this first time, and what was it like rewatching for the podcast? Cameron, why don't you hit us up? What was it like watching it the first time and rewatching it for the podcast?
The first time I ever watched it, I remember watching it with Jordan, and he was like pushing it on me so hard. He's like, I freaking have to watch this movie. He's like, you're gonna poop your eyes out, and I was like, okay, yeah. and then I was like watching.
Never
it.
has a greater movie pitch has been sold than you're gonna poop your eyes out.
And then I was like, okay, and then like, oh my gosh, dude, just from the first scene, just everything is just chaos, and he's just so creepy. And then rewatching it for the podcast just made me appreciate it that much more. Because I'm always scared rewatching my 10 out of 10s. Because I always fear that like maybe they're not as good as I think they are. But then this one I'm just like, yep, it's just as good as it. I freaking remember. Holy crap! The attention to detail. Just everything is just. It was a masterpiece. Second time, even almost. It was probably even better the second time.
Awesome. All right. I will go next. I saw this movie in the movie theater with my brother, Jordan. Air horns. Ah! It was freaking amazing. Me and my brother.
You remember it was your birthday too, right?
Guy date. Yeah, it was my birthday. This movie came out on 31st of October. How could I forget? We saw a double feature.
Yep.
Didn't come out that evening, but we watched a movie called Fury, starring Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf, Shane from The Walking Dead. He'll always be Shane. I hope I can remember his actual acting name.
John Bernthal.
Michael Pena. Oh, John Bernthal. There you go.
Thank you,
I'll
Justin.
immediately forget that. I will immediately forget
Our
that
guest
after.
apparently has more knowledge than we do.
I'll be honest, any John in Hollywood will be forgotten, I promise you. Like John Krasinski, yeah, forget it. I barely learned his name because
Rightfully
I watched
so.
9 million years of The Office, and I'm like, okay, I should probably learn Jim from The Office's name. Oh, it's John. No wonder I didn't bother to learn it because it's so freaking similar to his real name. Anyway, that was a little tangent. I watched this movie again last night, and it's going to be my 5th time watching this movie. I don't say this lightly. This is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And
It just became your top 10, or it's always been there?
It's been there.
Okay.
Probably not the first night that I watched it, though. I don't think I realized how special it was
Yeah.
when I watched it. but I loved it. I remember liking it more than Fury. I actually liked this movie more than Fury, which is surprising because you had a big World War II blockbuster with starring Brad Pitt, and this was like a small indie film, with Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's like, this movie was way better.
The greatest actor of all time.
Now, second thing I'll say about this movie, greatest Jake Gyllenhaal performance ever?
Yes.
Question mark? No question. Like, hands down. Anyway, so watched it
Donnie
last night,
Darko's up
and
there.
Donnie Darko was a fine movie, but like Jake Gyllenhaal performance, it doesn't even
It's a fine movie.
doesn't even glimpse this movie. But yeah, that's another good performance. But again, from a great actor. I watched this movie again. This is Jordan, me and you, when we watched Elf for the first time with our father, he sat there and played it again right after we finished watching it. The movie just ended, and he just pushed play again and to resume the movie that we had just finished watching. He loved it so much he watched it again. The next morning we wake up, he then pushes play and watches it a third time.
Are you talking about Rich or are you talking about Byron?
Rich. We watched
Well, he
Elf,
does that with a
starring Will
lot of
Ferrell.
movies. He did that with Jim Carrey every morning.
No, true.
C-Spot Run.
I know that's a behavior that our dad does, but what I'm saying is Nightcrawler is a film that this crazy syndrome that our dad has to just constantly play movies immediately upon watching them. Nightcrawler is one of those few movies I would straight up watch again. I literally told my wife, hey, if you want to stay up late, we'll watch it. I'll watch it again with you. Hey, I have got friends coming over for Thanksgiving. I'll show them the movie. Hey, I want to watch this movie again and again. I love this movie. I'm very excited to talk about it with you guys today. Jordan, what was it like watching it for you, and what was it like rewatching it for the podcast?
Well, going off of literally what you just said, so yesterday I watched it preparing for this podcast, and same thing happened. I loved it so much I watched it again today because I was like, this is the most amazing performance by Jake Gyllenhaal. And yes, perhaps debatable between his earlier films, but no, actually it's not debatable. This film is way better. I'm sorry, Cameron.
Amen.
I think his performance
Donnie
is
Darko's
out.
still a masterpiece.
Well,
Yes,
it is.
This is most likely his best performance, but
Performance, yeah. Anyways, I saw it first time in the theater with Ty. Such a treat. Oh my gosh. I love treating myself to movies on my birthday, and so it was really fun to be able to do that and share that with Ty on his birthday, because gosh dang it if that wasn't the best double feature ever, because we went from Fury, which was okay, but then once you hit Nightcrawler, man, that was a perfect way to end the night.
Whew. Yeah, it was good. It wasn't like when I went and saw that movie Cellar or 10 Cloverfield Lane, and then I watched Batman vs. Superman afterwards and thought, wow, a movie starring three people with like a quarter or like an eighth of the budget just blew Batman vs. Superman out of the water. Why'd you say that name? There's my one per list. Gotta mention
mama.
it every single time. Yo, mama. Honestly, if he had done a mama's joke and he spared his life, probably would have made more sense than the fact that they shared the same mom's name. Just gonna say it every single time we get on the podcast. I don't know how that made it through everything, like all the plot writers.
Okay,
we're not talking about that movie.
Did Justin already go?
no.
Justin, what was it like watching this movie the first time, and what was it like rewatching it for the podcast?
I definitely enjoyed it a lot more this time. First time I watched it, I was in high school, and I was with a girl, and normally it's hard to pay, I think we could all speak from personal experience, except Cameron, of course.
Cameron's like, don't rush me, I'm watching a movie right now.
This is the best part.
Usually when you're with friends or you're with a girl, like, it could be really hard to pay attention to a movie, but for whatever reason, when we watched Nightcrawler, right off the bat, you can tell it was just one of those movies where, okay, like, we have to pay attention to this. And that's a point I'll probably make throughout the night, is like every scene draws you in. The dialogue is
I
perfect.
feel really, really bad. Real quick, did you go into this movie thinking this would be like a thriller that you could like scare your date into clinging closer to you?
I'm not much.
Was there that
I'm not
expectation?
much of a horror movie type person. I could tell it was going to be suspenseful. I'm like Cameron, I think he's debatable one of the best actors of all time, and I'm a big fan of his, and so like I knew going into the movie it like would be good, but I had no idea. Like I had no expectations. I didn't know who the director was. And then watching it again last night, or 2 nights ago actually, just having the respect for like film that I do now compared to when I used to watch movies is like the movie. Watching it again made it like all that much better.
Movie.
I'd probably give it like a little bit higher rating, but I may not agree with Ty on like top 10 favorite of all time, but it really is like up there in debate for that.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I would love it. No, please, because I'd love you to challenge me because I want to go into two of my favorite things real quick. One of them is how incredibly relevant this movie is today. We have a news media and mainstream media that has completely thrown out journalistic integrity out the window, both right and left. We have media that is based on activism and pushing a narrative that's more important than finding the truth. Now, this movie came out in 2014. Now, I know there was probably some problems with this going on at that time, but I'll be honest, I was not even savvy to it. You know, you're a college kid. All you're worried about is finding the scariest movie to take your date to, right? Unless you're Justin, you know, I don't know what you do. I don't know how you have game. It didn't involve horror movies. You're crazy, but anyway, this is a movie I went and saw because I knew it was a crime drama thriller rather than an actual horror movie. Even though the trailer, I'm sure, tried to play up the scares, but I'm like, no, Jordan Midnight. And the thing is, you gotta scout these movies out, man. Man, I sound like such a creep. The dentist system. Got an established dependence and dominate. I can't even remember the dentist system. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think this movie. So one of the best things is you still benefits from rewatch this many years later because this movie's actually more relevant today than it was, I think, when it arguably came out. So it's a very poignant film about the ethics in journalism and finding and uncovering truth and portraying truth and telling truth. So amazing film, and it's even more prevalent today. I love that about it. And then the second thing, it goes without saying, is this movie, like the whole hour and 57 minutes, you'd think like with 2 hours it would sag somewhere. This movie just carries you, and that is in large part due to Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, but I'd be remiss to say the direction of this film, the shots, there's some iconic cinematography, and there's really iconic visual motifs that happen from Dan Gilroy that comes relevant in his other films, but this one, it's like everything that Dan Gilroy had to say came through. So star performance from everyone, but yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal steals the show, and that's why I absolutely love it. So poignant message and just flawless execution.
Is Dan Gilroy, is he the director?
Yes, and he was also the writer.
Okay, but what other films? Because Velvet Buzzsaw is the only one I've ever seen that he did, and it wasn't that great.
That's garbage, but I don't know how much studio meddling came into that, but maybe he didn't have any studio meddling. But that movie just failed on so many parts. But I almost liked the idea. I almost liked where he was headed about having like people with art and like not understanding art and like absolutely gory violence, or like I think there's a good message in there. It's just the execution didn't work for whatever reason. Maybe it had to do with the CGI Jumanji monkeys. I don't know if that was the problem, but that was definitely part of it. I'm not spoiling anything from the movie. Velvet Buzzsaw, yeah. No, but other movies that Dan Gilroy has done that I actually...
Justin, what were you going to say?
Absolutely do love. For example, like Roman J. Esquire, or Israel Esquire, whatever you call it. And Real Steel. I know a lot of people didn't actually like Real Steel.
Oh, he did Real Steel? That was alright, yeah.
Real Steel was actually a really good movie.
He wrote Real Steel. That's what I was going to add.
Yeah, sorry. Wrote, not directed, but again, you see the writing coming through a lot of that, but that's what he was known for. So done a lot of great things, done from screenplays to a lot of things with TV and stuff. So
as long as he makes a turnaround from Velvet Buzzsaw, I'm willing to give him another chance.
Was that what would you rate that? Because I remember looking up Velvet Buzzsaw on IMDb soon after it came out in theaters, and it got like a 5.
That's what I'd about give it.
It's much worse.
Mediocre.
It was much worse.
It was such a strange trailer when it first came out. I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that, but I've seen every other freaking Jake Gyllenhaal movie out there, so
I think it just got too jumbled. Really, I can't even speak to that movie. That's like a whole podcast, but the movie just fails on so many fronts. And again, I don't know how much that is attributable to to
Studio,
the director.
the director.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like, but
in
it
the
was.
end, it didn't even have a similar feel, other than the fact that it had Jake Gyllenhaal and it had that dark overtone. You know,
But it was a Netflix film, and usually Netflix gives you a lot of freedom. So sometimes I feel like that can be dangerous.
Right. Yes,
Agreed.
you're right. See, budgetary constraints allowed him to do a very niche film. Now he's like, I got Toni Collette, Jake Gyllenhaal, everyone's lining up to do my next film, and I'm going to make this big budget blowout and too much money. I'm going to do CGI monkeys, and it's like, maybe you should have just done subtlety.
Same thing happened with the director of Green Room and Blue Ruin. Then he got a Netflix movie, got to do whatever he wanted, and it was like Hold the Dark or something like that, wasn't it?
Hey, but that movie was pretty good, even though
really?
I don't understand it. Even though I don't understand it, and I don't like it as much as Green Room and Blue Ruin. I'm not even proving my point here. Netflixifying. It's going to be a new verb. You know, Netflix and chill? Yeah, this Netflixifying these amazing directors, it just destroys them. But I don't consider their Netflix a film.
That's Hollywood for you. They just
exactly.
They're in it for money. They're not in it for quality.
It's the the Spielbergifying, right? It's like when you get so much money, you make BFG, and it's just a dumpster fire of CGI.
It's all that
meaningless characters.
It's just all the contracts they sign. You know,
hey,
they
here's
just sign all these
nostalgia.
contracts.
I'll just throw up on you, man. Like Metal Slug.
Okay, wait.
3.
So let's do Justin now, so we
that
don't
was
take
an
all
arcade
his.
video game reference. Hey, Justin.
What
are two of your
Ty
favorite
went
things
for
about
20
this film?
minutes about what he liked about the film.
Yeah, I just had to get all that out.
Number
Had to get that off
one,
my
dialogue.
chest.
Dialogue. There are so many movies out there, whether you just watch your average action and adventure or your thriller or your comedy, where dialogue can almost become predictable for movie gurus like us. The character...
Thank you. I'm flattered. You consider me a guru.
You have a freaking podcast. Louis Bloom's
That makes
character,
you a guru, kids.
Louis Bloom's character is so creepy, and obviously that comes in his actions and what he's willing to go, how far he's willing to go for his job. But a lot of like the tension and the just like me being drawn into every scene actually is a lot to do with the dialogue. When Jake Gyllenhaal did this performance, like he just talks in such a creepy way, and he like has these really short pauses in words, and then when he's talking about like what he wants with his contract with that news lady, he just like has like such long pauses and then quick pauses. He's very precise. He maintains eye contact the entire time. He like never looks away. He's just so creepy that like the dialogue just like literally draws you in. And a lot of that has to do with the screenplay and like just like a lot of just like really good camera angles, and it just like every scene like has my attention. So like my biggest takeaway definitely was dialogue. My other takeaway is I don't know if I can think of a movie where a protagonist and antagonist is the same character in a movie, and you're almost rooting for Louis Bloom in the film.
Up until you're not.
Up until you're not, like you're like.
Oh, see, I'm actually glad you brought that up because I do want to bring that up in something.
Yeah, so like,
that,
lastly, I'll say like he just for the first bit of the film, you're like, oh yeah, like he's making ends meet, like paycheck to paycheck, odd job to odd job. He's literally.
Are you referring to the moment after he strangled someone to death for their watch?
Well,
you don't know. You don't
Justin,
know. They didn't show.
I don't know.
I know. I'm just saying, he's literally stealing a chain link fence to sell.
He's
from
not a
him.
killer. There's no proof that
he
he directly would kill somebody.
True. But he's just like
struggle
the first little bit of the
watch
film
from them, but the guy probably gave up the watch after he did that awesome, impressive chokehold.
The first bit of the film, he's a protagonist, and then like he does things, and you're like, he's actually the antagonist of the movie, and it's just like I've never seen a movie where like the antagonist and the protagonist is honestly probably the same character. So
that's true.
Unless you're thinking of Silence of the Lambs, I mean that's debatable. Actually, no, because the girl. Jodie Foster is technically the main character.
No.
Yeah, never mind.
Hannibal's definitely the antagonist the whole time.
Yeah, the only one I can think of is like Parasite is kind of similar, where you're rooting for him in the beginning, and then the second half you're kind of like, he's kind of the antagonist of the film. They're kind of bad people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But then there's worse people, which make you cheer for the less worse people. The psycho in the basement.
Before we go on, really quick, I wanted to go off of dialogue. I was paying attention really closely on this last viewing to the dialogue, and it's very interesting because every time Jake Gyllenhaal talks, it's almost like he's reading directly off of like a book that he got out of business school or off of Wikipedia, because every description he gives, he's like, oh, I can't even think of any of it off the top of my head. But
who am I? I'm a hard worker. I set high goals. I've been told that I'm persistent.
Yeah, I love that.
maybe a sociopath too. Did you ever get diagnosed with that?
For real.
well, when he's describing to the guy, he's like, oh, if you want to, because he's like, what happened? And he's like, well, if you really wanted to know, you needed to show up. And instead of just ending it there, like I feel like a normal person would, he like said this entire description of something he had read out of a book. Like, if you had done that, then you would have put yourself ahead, and then you would have become a valued member of this company, and then people wouldn't want to fire you. And he just says things that are so eerie because it's like they're so. He takes all the feeling out of everything he says. It's almost like he's completely emotionless, which is why, I mean, he's got to be a psycho, just complete nutcase.
Just a little.
Love it. Justin, what was your second favorite thing?
That was his second favorite thing.
Dialogue, and then
right.
him just
Sorry.
being like the antagonist and protagonist.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's great line of thought there. I love that. Cameron, how about you? Two of your favorite things.
Honestly, for me, like, I freaking love this entire film. This is one of my all-time favorite films, and which I was surprised that because Ty usually goes at me for my favorite film, so I was glad that he jumped on board for this one. But first off, I loved that they gave kind of like the shout out or homage to Court Jester, and then him just laughing. That had me laughing out loud. He's just like,
So are we all saying that Kevin is most like Jake Gyllenhaal?
most like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Sitting alone watching Court Jester and laughing to himself.
That's pretty funny. No, but so my two favorite things is like, definitely, I think just the first scene of the film just sets up the film so well. Like, that's what I really love, because me and Jordan always talk about the importance of show don't tell, and so you just see they say so much about his character in just few shots, like, you know, just him, he's like with bolt cutters like cutting through a chain link fence, and you're like, what the heck is he doing? And then he like throws it into the back of his trunk, and you see there's a bunch of other like stuff that he's stolen in there, and you're like, what is going on? And he's like, oh, I didn't know. He's like, I'm lost. He's like, I didn't know this was a restricted zone. He's like, I didn't see any signs. He's like, they're everywhere. And then he's just like so calm, and then you see him like attack the dude. And that's what I love about this director, is he leaves so much up to like your imagination, to where he doesn't explain kind of exactly what happens. He's kind of just like, you know what's going on. Or like, it leaves it up to kind of interpretation, which I think is a very it's a very risky but also like a very rewarding thing if you do it correctly. So just that first scene just sets up everything for his character, and it says 1,000 words. And then that's kind of leads into my second favorite thing about the film, and why Jake Gyllenhaal is my favorite actor of all time, is just he is able to say so much being silent. And it's fantastic. Like, my favorite attribute of him in this movie is his crazy eyes. His crazy eyes are better than any fucking dialogue in the entire movie. His eyes,
Best
it's so funny.
acting of all time.
I showed the second time I watched it, I showed it to all my roommates, and someone commented while we were watching, like, looks like his eyes about to pop out of his head.
That's almost, that's true.
Yeah, dude, they must have given him something to like bug his eyes out just slightly.
One of the girls was like, his eyes make me uncomfortable.
Karen, no, you're absolutely right. How does like Jake Gyllenhaal, who's like one of the most handsome guys in Hollywood, like objectively, and if I do say so myself, subjectively speaking, not gay, totally think he's like one of the most handsome guys, and yet he looks so terrifying in this movie. Like
I think it's because he's
offsetting.
He's definitely trying to play a psychopath, you know, like other than the actual mindset of a psychopath, there's usually something physically off about people like them, you know. It's and I think it's really funny that Cameron mentioned that.
And so and honestly, that's what I love too. And I was watching a video that kind of was talking a little bit more about it, and I just love how they talk about, we kind of relate a little bit to him, because he's in the beginning very polite in his actions, but then we get caught off guard when he is aggressively polite, and that's when we start to like kind of lose our compassion for him, and kind of like that scene where the other guy's like offering him a job, and he's like, what I want to do right now is grab you by the ears and scream in your face, I don't want the effing job.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god! And like, that's like the moment.
A simple
that everyone-
no would have sufficed.
yeah. So like that's kind of because before all the other times he's like very polite and he's like no, don't sell yourself short. He's just very calm. And in that scene where he's saying something aggressive calmly, then you start to realize that he's not actually a calm person. It's all a front and a cover for like bottling up everything. And so that's when he snaps, it just makes it like, holy fuck!
Yo,
that
scene where he's looking in his mirror. Well, and that's really cool that you mentioned that, Cameron, because again, he's calm on the surface, but he can't be faced with the reality, right? With himself, his own reflection. He can't contain, right? And that's why I love that scene. Like, I mean, there's so much said. You look up like actor compilations and they put that scene in there with no context. It's still riveting to watch someone freak out at their own mirror and slam it shut, and it just shatters completely, and he just goes back to living his life like
but
nothing
it's still
happened.
a broken version and a distorted image of himself, and I was like, it says so much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did the director go to film school? That's
Yeah, I was
great.
like, holy fuck.
Mind blown. But no, it's so telling, right? Like, he cannot, like, the whole monster that's living inside, right? Oh, I just freaking love it. Cameron, that's excellent.
Well, just going right off that scene, I love that. I'm trying to think how to say this. Like, in movies, they essentially, I feel like the best way to show a character's character, I don't know if that sounds weird, but is
To show a true character's character.
well, but it's putting
Is
them
the
through
character deep within.
but it's putting them through trials, and that's what I love is he's, you know, not at the top of his game all the time, but he is literally like the lowest low you could be, and to get by, like, he's stealing constantly and selling stuff, and he's trying to get a job. He is like
scene.
constantly hustling for. Yeah, I know, and he's like such a good
I won the
salesman,
Tour
and
de
he's so
Mexico
good
on
with
this bike.
words.
Dude, that's what watching this movie reminded me. It reminds me a lot of Catch Me If You Can, because it just scares me how far you can get with confidence, to where he would just say stuff to people and they would just believe him because of how confident he would speak. And he's like, oh yeah, like, I bought this bike for $2,000.
Yeah.
He's like, if I sold it to you for $2,000, he's like, that's a steal. And then the guy's like, okay, he's like,
But a few
he's
times
like,
he
"There's
did
no
get
bike
caught
with
in his
9
lies, though.
gears."
No, but he would
no
have to
bike with
pivot,
9
though. Yeah,
gears.
exactly. The guy knew how many gears a bike had, and he's like, there's no bike with that many gears. And he's like, I won the Tour de Mexico, right? He just keeps BSing him.
I
And
know.
he's like, he gets caught in some of his lies, but he does not stop. And it doesn't even faze him, right? He just goes right around, and he keeps going. He keeps
And people
hammering it home.
almost like they almost let it slide too. That's what blows my mind. Every
Yeah.
single time he gets caught in
Yeah.
the light or people challenge him, he blows it off and then continues to push until they're like, okay, yeah, whatever, I'll just do whatever. Like, I'll give you whatever you want to get you freaking away from me, or like out of my face and like out of my life. It's amazing.
I love it. Jordan, other things you wanted to add? Your favorite things?
No, it's already been said that I love, obviously, Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. I mean, we could literally, I think, talk about his performance probably this entire podcast, because everything he does is amazing. Like, I mean, horrible, but amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I just love even how he manipulates, and like you said, he is so aggressive, and he ends up making that co-anchor lady completely dependent on him. So they are so codependent, it's disgusting.
So great, man. All right, let's get into nitpicks, or two things that you noticed. Well, one of them actually is just like a character flaw, really, because I wanted to because there's like nothing technically wrong with this movie. I think it's a perfect movie. But I was gonna go through like despicable things, aside from letting his well, it's not even his like co-employee. It's like it's his employee. Poor Rick, that he's
His intern.
entrapped into his intern, right? Yeah, it's like more of like an intern that gets paid $30 a night, and then he like negotiates getting a slightly better deal.
I could have gotten more.
I
couldn't
wanted
I?
to pose a question. I wanted to
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's a great callback, because that conversation that they have where he's like, he asks him, he's like, does it come with a raise? And he tells him absolutely. And then he's like, how much? Pick a number. You pick a number. And he, 100. He's like
100?
timidly,
$75?
$75. Agreed. Like, wait, what about more? Not now. We closed the deal. But I could have gotten more, couldn't I? I love that. He's like, absolutely. And he says the same line again. I love that.
Well, and I'm curious,
That's a
at what
great
point do you
exchange.
think...
Was he planning to off him? Yeah, I was thinking of the same thing, right? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Please tell me that's what you were thinking. Yeah. When was he devising a plan? I think it's honestly early on. As soon as he decided not to turn him in, I think he was actually just willing to go along until he said he was going to report him. I think that's the moment where he's like, I'm going to get rid of him somehow.
You see him look at him, and then he
Yes,
looks away, and then he shakes his head, and he was like, in my opinion, that's him being like,
you failed
like,
me. Yeah.
He's like, I was trying to be reasonable. Now I have to be bad. Like, that's
Yep.
how
like if he would have been like totally cool with it, but like poor Rick has a conscience, right? His darn old conscience. Jiminy Cricket, yeah, he's actually a human being, and is like, this is illegal what we're doing. We need to report this crime. These criminals. We know what what they've done. We need to report them. And he's just like, I want more money. And then he tries to like blackmail him, and that's when he crosses the line. Because again, you could argue that Rick has a conscience, but he should have gotten away from that situation. Didn't realize that he was literally working with the devil. So that's what I would agree. Jordan, did you have a different time other than that in exchange? Do you have a
No,
theory
because
planning?
it was either that, or I was going to say the part where he says, and maybe that was the same moment, I can't remember, but he said to him, he's like, once you go past this, you can't go back. Like, or what did he say? It was something along those lines.
It's when he didn't want to get out of the thing, and he's like, imagine coming all this way and then not finishing the job or whatever.
Right. That's a good moment too. And I was even thinking when he was negotiating the money,
that's
like,
what I was saying.
So
yeah, it was that moment.
Maybe he was so selfish that he wasn't even willing to ever give him a raise. He's like, I'm gonna kill you. Any number, you can name your price because you're dead. Like that could be possible too. He lets him choose his raise.
My two kind of nitpicks. One is just it's like not even Grant thought it was kind of a nitpick. But I honestly, it's a nitpick that honestly I think plays in even more into the role of Jake Gyllenhaal. Is you probably noticed that there was a couple scenes that the music didn't exactly flow with kind of what the F was.
Oh
happening.
yeah,
Playing,
no, I was gonna bring that up.
Normal music. They're playing like normal music when like bodies are being moved or dragged, and you're like, what the F is going on? And I think that's Jake Gyllenhaal's like lack of like conformity to society, because it's showing how he doesn't understand what is normal. Like that's what I love. A lot of times in the beginning of the film, you see him like
he's literally tampering. Yeah, there's a dead guy bleeding out in the ground, and he just drags him across concrete for a better shot. Let's just put it in perspective. This is like a horrifying thing he just did. Yeah, and beautiful music's playing, right? Inspirational music, if you will.
Yeah.
And then you see his reaction. It's like glorious. Like he's standing on the hill and he's got the camera in the air and he's like, oh, it's beautiful. It's so messed up.
Yeah, and like one thing I just really like about that is it just shows, because like even when he's learning how to film, you catch him multiple times. He's like glancing over at the guy, like seeing how he's holding it, And for me, Harry actually made a really funny comment. He said he's kind of like an android trying to learn how to be human. And honestly, that's how I feel like he is. Like that's why I love that music that's not in the right situation, because it's like a lot of things he does would be okay in a different situation, but he just doesn't know what is socially and not socially acceptable because he's so isolated, which I feel like is the overall theme of the movie, is isolation.
Well, and I think the music actually matches his feelings, because we're inside his head, and so it's like this is how
he finds it beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Like he's staging remember my favorite scene, and so telling, Cameron, is when he's talking to Fergie. I'm just gonna keep calling her Fergie. He talks to her, and they're like standing together, and he's like, "It's beautiful." After like they literally witness his intern getting shot, she's like, "This is the most beautiful thing," and they're just staring. It's like at the end of a rom-com where they're like, they're like, it's so beautiful, and it's like, you literally just watched the intern get shot. Like, I mean, it's like horrifying violence. It's a beautiful thing. That is my favorite. Like, that moment comes full circle, because you're just like, oh, you all deserve each other. You really some twisted people. So yeah, you're right. The music is almost sublime and beautiful, and it's like inspirational music. I actually like the soundtrack, but you're like, this is coming from a very disturbed mind. It's kind of like reminds me of the Joker. When the music comes on, it's all beautiful, and the cello comes on and everything. It's like, yeah, the inner psyche of his mind. It's like this is his work and it's creation. It's his baby. He loves it. He's very proud of his work, and if reality doesn't match what he believes he arranges it right. He arranges the photos closer to the bullet shots on the fridge. He breaks and enters so he can get a better shot or a better angle, right? He gets right up into someone's face. The EMTs and the firemen are always like, get back, you know, you're literally like endangering someone's life getting this close, you know, like get back. And
I love how he
doesn't
didn't
care.
start off with moving dead bodies. You kind of see his slow descent. It reminds me of Joker, the slow descent into madness of like, at first it's kind of just like moving pictures closer to bullet holes, and then it's like, oh well, maybe I'll just like move this dead body, get a better shot. And then it's later to like, I'm going to be going through an active crime scene with people that I could possibly and potentially save their life, but I'd rather get the shot.
Just
or I could endanger my own life.
Just ignore them while they're bleeding out and being like,
until
he
it
reaches
eventually
up,
gets
he's
to
like,
the point where he's like literally like not turning in criminals to get more. I'm like, he literally is like creating a movie in real life.
And that's the thing, it's all about a narrative, right? One of my favorite things again about this whole media narrative was when he talks about the acronym FEAR, false evidence appearing real. That's literally what he says, like, and that's what they're selling. This media is just selling a narrative. They want to keep you fearful. They spend 23 seconds of every half-hour news cycle talking about politics, the weather, and education or whatever it was, and then he goes, and the other 29 minutes he spent talking about local crime. Like that's literally what your half-hour news cycle is about. He's like, it's just about keeping people fearful so they'll come back and tune in and find out what happened. I love that, Cameron. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, the music doesn't match the diabolical things that he's done. So I was going to ask you guys, what was the most deplorable thing? One of my favorite things, it's like my nitpick. It's not even a nitpick. It's the moment where I started feeling for him. You brought this up, Justin. I like your comment about you actually feel for him because you think he's like somehow might be redeemable, right? There's a scene where he's talking to Fergie, and he's like in the newsroom for the first time, and he actually like might have just landed a job, and he's like, I've always wanted to, you know, I think I'd be really good at this place. I'd be really good here. And then the moment where he starts giving this rallying speech where he's like, I studied business school. I read that you got to do this. You got to chase your dreams. It's like really inspirational. And then a moment I got a glimpse. There was a glint off of his watch that he literally stole from the guy that he strangled to death, like in that same scene. And that's when I woke up. I was like, I almost fell for it in that heartwarming speech where he's like, I'm going to make something of myself, right? This entrepreneurial spirit. And then like the watch that he stole from
the same scene where he's like he looks at the
guy that he
the
killed.
background. On TV, it looks so real. I was like, what the fuck?
So I just love that. The watch glimmers, like it almost shines. You see his hands as they're moving, and you see the watch on his hand. And I was like, oh, that just like was such a good scene where I'm like, you almost got me to feel for you, man. You psychopath. No. I have a conscience. Not giving in. Love it. Any other nitpicks you guys picked up?
None, honestly.
Another great scene of just the sociopathicness, you know. It's like after the scene where he's moved the body, she's like, that's a great shot and everything, and she's like talking to him, he's like, there's blood on your shirt, and he's like, no, I don't think so.
Oh, I love that
he
part.
just ignores it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you have blood on your shirt? And he just completely ignores it, right?
My favorite part of just like, I love it, just showed how like his socials like skills and just lack of knowledge of social cues is just so strange. Like the part when the cops come over to his home or whatever, and they're like, may we come in? And he's like, why? And they're like can we come in or whatever? And he's like, I don't care. Like, who interacts with cops like that? I don't care. Do you have anything? He's like, is there any reason why you would have us like not have us come in? He's like, no. He's like, then may we come in? He's like, I don't care. And you're just like, what the fudge?
Well, and Ty, the fun part about that blood on the sleeve is as she's pointing that out, he's asking her on a date. Like,
yeah.
Oh my
He's like
gosh,
he's not even deterred. He's like, I don't think it's blood. Anyway, do you like Mexican food? Like, gosh. Jeez. Oh my word.
What were you gonna say, Jay?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, kind of going back when Cameron was like, oh, I'm glad like it didn't show that he was like this crazy like awful person right at the beginning, kind of like go slower. It's like when he first lands like a job and he sends the video footage for money, he's upset with the amount of money he got. He was like, come on, like I busted my to get this. And she's like, well, it wasn't that good of a shot and whatnot. And so that's when he like learns, okay, oh, the better the shot, the more the money. And throughout the movie, like it's kind of hard to determine whether you think he's trying to get better shots and do more illegal things for a bigger paycheck, or if he actually starts to become obsessive over this job. Like, does he actually like the job? Does he like doing this? Or is he just like in it for the money? Or is he just a straight psychopath? And it's the more
or
like he's slowly,
all the above.
or is it D, all the above? You know,
all of them.
and the more obsessive he gets throughout the movie is when, like what we talked about, is he the protagonist or is he the antagonist? The more obsessive he gets is like, that's when you start to lose more respect for him throughout the movie, like little by little by little, and you're like, it's crazy. And then like, just off of straight scenes, dude. And I love the ending for one. It's a fiasco, and what goes down. But I'm talking about the very end. After they film, are there spoilers on this podcast?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like after the car crash, after he literally films his freaking coworker get shot, or the intern. Also, real quick, he looks that like
Killer in the
criminal
face.
right
like,
in the face, and he has the to like not run away,
filming.
not say I'm innocent, not put his hands up. He just
backs
keeps
up
holding
to
the
film.
camera,
Yep.
and he like kind of just like shields himself the car, and the dude runs off, and I'm like, dude, the nerve of this psychopath to just be like, you are so dedicated to this stupid job that you're willing to like look a criminal in the eye and just like, he's holding a gun, like
with a gun, yeah. Who
he just
killed
shot your
multiple
partner.
Yeah, killed his partner, killed multiple cops, and he's just like,
He's just like, he just has that look like, dude, I'm just in it for the shot.
Cameron's eyes bugged out of his head just momentarily.
But
Just
anyways, the
transformed.
scene after that, when it like quiets down and it cuts scene, and he walks out, like it shows him walking down the sidewalk, right? And he's just like, I can't remember if he's like sitting on a bench or he's like walking down the sidewalk. And he kind of has like this like smile as he's walking down, as he puts his sunglasses on. He has like this like faint smile, and like a huge like wave theme of like narcissism comes into the movie. Like he thinks that he's the shiz.
You know, my
like
favorite look that he gives is when he walks past the news anchor
and he
they're all like,
recognizes
"Hey, you have
him and
great
knows
work."
his name.
And
Yes.
he points at him and he just does like the point laugh. He's just like, yeah. Freak. That scene, like,
Yeah.
And then he
It's-
asks like confirms
gives
his
me
name
goosebumps,
or whatever.
dude.
And he's like, yeah,
no.
It's like, that's the yellow tie.
yeah. It means it's Friday.
It's Friday.
he's just a straight like narcissist. It's crazy.
He just loves it though, man. Oh, see, but what's really great is the ending fiasco is actually, it is referenced earlier, and it's a total callback, because a great scene when he and Rick are, so after Bill Paxton, tries to offer him the job and he denies it, he then misses out on a shot of like
Little
an airplane
twerp.
crash or something there, or fire. Yeah, little twerp. And so Bill Paxton gets the shot, and it gets him angry because he doesn't get the footage to his news anchor. And then they're like, "I'm leading with a gosh dang stabbing and effing Corona." Fergie.
I don't
the suggestion. Yeah, I don't give an F about a shoot, because again,
It's like, I don't give an F about Corona.
The area
And then when my room's
is,
like,
is an area low income. Yeah, they need to film like suburban people, higher class people having crimes, not lower income earners crime. And so that scene, he's about to lose it, and then the very next scene, he's out under the van, under Bill Paxton's van, and you don't really know what's going on until later in the scene. It's then revealed they get in a car accident and he's there and he's filming him, and that scene where Bill Paxton makes eye contact with him and he's just
And he
staring at him.
just knows
just
that
like-
he's responsible for the reason this guy's in a stretcher. Yeah.
And see, that's a great, again, it's foreshadowing like the much worse thing he's going to be doing in the future. And Rick even tells him, he goes, "Don't film him, man. He's one of us." And then he goes, "He's not one of us.
No.
He's a sale."
Ty, you know what he
Or
says? He says, "Not anymore. We're professionals.
Not
He's a
anymore.
sale."
Oh my gosh. That's so
Not anymore.
savage.
He's a sale. Yeah, I love that. He's just money. And what's crazy is he put him in that predicament. He tampered with his vehicle. We don't know exactly what he did. Probably cut his brake somehow, right?
Yeah, he probably cut the brake line.
And then they just smashed into a pole. It's crazy. It's so crazy. But yeah, it's great foreshadowing into what he ends up doing later, which straight up like direct murder. Like,
I know. That's...
aside from actually being the one that pulled the trigger, literally directly.
Well, yeah, because he said he's dead.
He goes, get
out.
out. He's dead. Get out of the car and film him. Like
that's right. Yeah, you straight out lied to him. Yeah,
my favorite part about that is just that, like, he tells him, he's like, you knew he was like alive or whatever, and he was like pretty much asking him like, why did you let this happen? And his response, he wasn't like, I'm sorry, or like you threatened me or whatever, and he was just like, I can't jeopardize my company's success to retain an untrustworthy employee. He says it so calm. You're like,
yeah. He's always calm. Like even in the car chase scene before the car crash, you know, he's drifting and running through red lights behind the cop. Who the cop is behind the criminal.
Dude, yeah, and when the cars flip.
Yeah, and before the car crash, Rick is like, bro, watch out. Don't run the red light. Like, don't do this. Like, he's like, watch out. And Jake Gyllenhaal's just like, get out the camera. Wide lens. Wide angle. Like, and he's just so calm. He's just like, are you filming this? Get the camera out. Wide angle. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, bro.
Dude, in the scene where he's being investigated by the cops or whatever, and then she's like, you're on camera. And he's like, yeah, wide angle. I was like, oh my god. Like, live, like, he just breathes and eats, just like film. He's just like, yeah, wide angle. Like, he's being like investigated for a murder, and then in like withholding information, and he's just like, yeah, that's a wide angle shot. And you're like, oh my gosh, dude. The on him. He's just like, and she's like, I'm gonna investigate this or whatever, and he's like, oh no, I hope you do or whatever. And then he's like, that's the dang thing or whatever. Oh my gosh.
Well, and I went back and re-listened to that like a couple different times, just to like listen to how careful he is with every word when he talks to the cops, because it's so much fun to see the actual crime scene and like that he withheld all this evidence, and then hearing him tell that story is so much fun because you were with him seeing all that bad stuff, and then you got to see exactly what he told the police officer, and he is so careful with every word. Like, I saw the door open.
All came together.
The door was open. I heard.
Perfectly recognized him. He's like, all came together at once. Oh, dude.
Yeah. Oh, now I recognize who they were. Yeah, I just ran into them. Yeah. So,
it was dark. I mean,
yeah. But then it all came back. I recognized who he was, and I filmed my own intern getting shot. Like,
and then she's like, you watched him die, and he's like, that's my job. And you're like, oh, dude, because he shivers freaking when he says that. Like,
so another great scene of manipulation. Again, this is just we're just gushing about Jake Gyllenhaal's character. This is such a remarkable. I mean, the fact that he like blackmails and gets Fergie's relationship, like, you know, he manipulates her and like studying her. He like, where do you learn all this information? Online. They're on a date, quote unquote, and she's like not really having anything. She's like, I came out here as a professional courtesy. And in the end, he ends up like blackmailing her by the end of the date. And she's like, I don't want to eat or whatever. And he's just like, yeah, fine, leave or whatever. And he's just like ready to eat. And he's like literally manipulated her into saying like, if you don't give me what I want, be my friend or sexual partner, like you're going to jeopardize my camera footage. Like I won't continue to sell footage to you if you don't sleep with me, basically. There's a disturbing scene later on when he's not getting what he wants and he starts threatening her and gives her a list of all the demands. And he goes, when I tell you it's my minimum, like it's my minimum. Like I don't want to waste time negotiating this. And then he's the scariest line. I never caught this in the 4 or 5 times I've watched this before, but he goes, if I had a family, I'd want to know they were safe. And what's really weird about this line is like, again, he's a sociopath. It's like, oh, I would think this is what a normal person with a family would want to think, right? But then he goes, when I ask you to do things, I expect you to do them. And he goes, when I asked you to do things when we were in your apartment, I expect you to do them. Not like the last time. It is the most disturbing. Like, again, don't show. Your imagination goes there. Like I don't know what freaky deaky stuff this guy is into, but like the fact that he's like basically holding Fergie hostage and that creepy line, like your imagination goes there. You're like, that poor woman has gotten into the relationship with an absolute psychopath. Like, and there's no way out. She's completely helpless.
Honestly, it shows that knowledge is power, especially in like
yes,
like knowledge and confidence, like with those two combined, are so dangerous. That's what, because like the way he talks to her or whatever, and he's like, I've also noticed that you only spend 2 years out of each company or whatever, and he's like, in your 2-year contract, so you most likely you're only getting 2-year contracts, and your contract's almost up, so this next month's rating is going to be very important for you, and just like it's so calculating,
all manipulation,
so intelligent, you're just like
not infatuated with her at all, even though he alludes that he likes older women. But there's no evidence to suggest that he does or doesn't.
I'm
and
twice
then
your
it's
age.
all a ploy.
I'm into older women. I like how he thinks that just cancels out like the whole
I know.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like-
Don't overthink about it.
fine,
Yeah, it's
okay.
like no.
Well, Cameron, it's just like one thing after another. Every response somebody gives to him, he has a comeback instantly. Like she's like, "Oh, I'm busy." He's like, "But Saturday's your night off." And he just like every time somebody says
knows
something to him, he's got
everything,
the
yeah.
quickest,
Will not take no
most
for an
vile
answer.
response.
It was
Yeah.
super funny.
Will not take
What's
no
called?
for an answer. Absolutely
Someone
not.
compared him to someone compared him to a summer sales bro. They're like, he's the best summer sales bro
Yes,
of all time.
He
I
would
was
be
like,
the
I'm
greatest
not
pest
wrong.
control, solar, and
That's actually so funny you mentioned that, Cameron, that you said someone reminds him of a summer sales bro. Because, I mean, we won't talk about it now, but like relatable movies, rewatching Nightcrawler made me think of a movie and a character that is like so just driven in their job. And have you guys seen The Founder?
yeah. Oh, that's a
With
great
Michael
one.
Keaton?
Michael Keaton. Yes, The Founder. That is a great movie.
Dude, when I watched
would
Nightcrawler again, I was
categorize
like,
these
oh my
movies-
gosh, this is The Founder. I just
Yes.
recently watched that. This is it.
That's a great movie. And you know what's crazy? There is a gear that switches when he sees that girl and wants to take the guy,
his wife,
his
the piano
wife,
player,
yeah,
Linda Cardellini.
Yes. He wants to take her wife. There's a lever that flips, and it's like Michael Keaton just turns completely antagonist.
He
It's
just-
so freaky.
yeah.
It's great. It's like lust, like straight lust, and it just.
Well, it sounds like David or whatever when he saw
Oh yeah,
Bathsheba.
it's literally David and Goliath. Yeah, the whole Saul and Bathsheba story. It literally is. But
Yes, that movie's
it's a
so
great movie. Definitely see The Founder. That's another good one. I love that comparison, Justin. That's an excellent comparison. And that's a movie I don't talk about enough. I would label these movies under like the evil capitalist. Like they're movies about movies like this, like the Lord of War, American Made.
You've seen American Made?
Yes.
That's so good. I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Best Tom Cruise performance.
Dude, that
seriously,
Oh, yeah.
movie's
like,
so phenomenal.
it's a great movie.
Oh my gosh.
Although I have seen Jerry Maguire, so I don't know if Jerry Maguire is technically better than his performance of it. Anyway, that's for another discussion. But
Like this
love
jacket
that
I'm
movie.
wearing?
American Made is.
Because I don't really need it. Because I'm cloaked in failure.
I love it, Cameron. And so, yeah, I think that the evil capitalist movie, the reason these still work, because usually it's like, oh, we don't like movies about like greed, but they like it when they're committing crimes because they're like, look, capitalism doesn't work. I don't know, like critics and everything, they're very far left, and they're like, well, it's not edgy, it's not breaking the rules, but it's like, oh no, he's breaking the law and he gets ahead in
Yeah,
the
exactly.
capitalist game, because that's how they view all people that are rich and wealthy. They all break the rules, tax loopholes, and all that stuff. But that's how they get by it. But it's like technically a capitalist movie, but they're breaking the law doing it. So, but yeah, that's all these movies. I call them the evil capitalist movie. The Founder.
That's great.
Nightcrawler.
I'm gonna use
Yeah,
that genre.
It's an ambitious, the evil capitalist, and those are fun movies. I think a lot of people enjoy them. It actually plays into the actual all the Netflix documentaries that were coming out. There was like the Fire Fest. Did you guys watch that one? It's a really good one about this guy that basically had this fire festival that was a total botch, and it turned into the Lord of the Flies because they just had everyone ship over to this island even though they weren't even ready to receive them, and it was just a total cluster fudge. And it's a great documentary. Definitely watch
Interesting.
Firefest.
Can I do something
But yeah,
Facebook?
and there was another one. This female Steve Jobs. I can't remember her name, but she basically had this science and she got all these venture capitalists to give her money, even though the technology that she was claiming she had didn't exist. But she swindled all these men out of millions and millions of dollars into a company that went literally from like $1 billion to $0 or like negative money overnight, like because it didn't exist. The technology she was selling didn't exist, but people bought because she was just like Jake Gyllenhaal. She like convinced them, like she was confident enough, and they just gave her money. Like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. You know, they just blindly gave her money. It's crazy.
Are
But
we on
these
quotes
evil
now?
capitalist movies are great. Yes, favorite movie quotes.
I think we've said most of them.
Whoa,
Is there any
We
we-
have said most of them.
I got some. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say, my motto, well, I think we might have mentioned it, but my motto is, if you want to win the lottery, you got to make the money to buy a ticket. And they do this in the trailer, and it keeps playing over and over, and he yells it at the end. He never does this in the movie, but in the trailer it was really cool how they had, like, Jake Gyllenhaal, like, yelling it at the end. He keeps saying it, and then at the very end he's like, if you want to win the lottery, he's just, like, screaming. It's so eerie. Okay, that's a great quote from the trailer.
Some of my favorites were when he said, he had some of the most eerie quotes ever that just I love so much. One of them was, "What if my problem wasn't that I don't understand people, but that I don't like them?" But when he said that, and he said that right after he had just said, like, he had just blackmailed him. His partner had just blackmailed him, and he was like, "What if my problem is that I don't like not that I don't understand people, but I don't like them?" And that's when for me, that's why I think that's the moment he decided he was going to kill him, because he's like, you're so predictable, and it's not like I don't understand what you're doing. He's just like, it's just the fact I don't like you because you're trying to take advantage of me. And then when he says, like, the experts have identified communication as the number one single key to success, I just love that, because it shows that he has mastered communication. He has mastered the way of, like, communication and manipulation, because he, like, the way he butters up people. Oh, I love it when he's like, what I believe is that good things come to those who work their butts off, and and those people that reach the top of the mountain didn't just fall there. And he's talking to this guy, just trying to do anything he can do to get the guy to like him, but the guy's just not having it, and he's like F off or whatever, and he's just like,
but when he's like, I was raised with high self-esteem, and that was really big, or something like that. So because I used to expect my needs to be considered. I used to expect my needs to be considered. Like, I can't think of a more narcissistic line than that. I love that.
I love it when he's talking to Rick too, and he says, he's like, "I'm promoting you to executive vice president of video news," and then he's like, "What am I now?" Like, pretty much like, what does that mean? And he's like, "You're an assistant." And, like, it's such, like, a kind of like a special moment, because then you see, like, for me, that's why it makes the kind of like the moment of him being betrayed by being blackmailed so much more powerful, because I feel like that's Jake Gyllenhaal allowing someone in his inner circle by saying that he's like, "You're now my assistant. Like I'm giving you some room and some, like, room in my inner circle." And then the moment he is, like, betrayed and feels threatened at all, he takes out that threat immediately.
Well, isn't that interesting too? As soon as he opens up a little bit and the kid sees what kind of a real person, I mean, like, who he really is, that's when he's like, "Oh shoot, like, this is illegal. Like, yeah, I need to get out of here."
Normally I don't talk about my plans with you. He's like, "What the fudge?" And then I love the part that showed kind of what you were talking about, Ty, with the underlying agenda with media. I love the part when like, the two ladies talking to Linda or whatever, and she's like, "How much of this can we show?" And then she's like, "You mean legally?" And then she's like, "No, morally. Of course legally." Like, she's like, morals are out the window. Like, that doesn't matter. Obviously I'm talking about what's legal. Like, oh my gosh. And then, dude, the freaking thing that, like, blew my mind was the thing where he's like, the part when she said you filmed them, and then he said, "That's my job, and that's what I do." But then the line they said, "I'd like to think that if you're seeing me, you're having the worst day of your life." I was like, oh my gosh, dude, that needs to be, like, the poster just title. If you're seeing me,
it sounds like a Kanye quote almost, who also is a narcissist.
Wait, I got another quote. "You're doing a good job, but you just spilled gas on my seat, and if you do that again, I will terminate you immediately."
Dude, that reminded me of Dad. Like, "You did really good mowing the lawn, but you forgot to edge." Just like the backhanded compliment.
Yes, exactly. Or, like, even, like, when he's trying to figure out the job, he's just like, "So bloody," right? He's like asking, like, "What kind of footage I need?" It's like, "Well, graphic. The best way and clearest way I can phrase it for you is, like, we need shots that are, like, we think of ourselves as, like, a woman running down the street with her throat cut," and he's just like, "I understand." Like, what the freak? Like, they deserve each other. These people are terrible. Oh my gosh, that's great.
And every time Jake Gyllenhaal speaks to people, like, he came out and talked to Bill Paxton, and he's like, when he just came out of the newsroom, and he's like, "Were you waiting for me out here?" Like, like, I don't know why, but moments like that, it's just how he says it. It's just, like, eerie. He's so, like, paranoid, thinking people are, like, out to get him. Yeah.
Honestly, I love how calculating he is, because like that's his whole goal in life, is to not be caught off guard and to be in control of every situation, and so he'll do anything to like be able to be in control. It's a freaking masterpiece.
Oh, and then another moment, Ty, that made me think of something you always bring up in on the podcast about Jared Leto, is when he's like, "Oh, I always rewatch my films," and then I was thinking, I'm like, "Oh, geez, here we go." Is that what you thought about too? Yeah, where Ty always brings up Jared Leto not wanting to rewatch his films.
Doesn't watch his films, dude. He rewatches all that he does, man. If it bleeds, it leads. Dude,
So apparently you like psychopaths, Ty. Let's see.
Yeah, dude. Bill Paxton is great, though. One of my favorite things is that when he's like, "Do you have any idea what I'm offering you?" It's like, you should my... I love that line. The funniest line, yeah. That was so funny.
That was hilarious.
It's great. And he's like,
I don't know how to phrase this politely, but I'm not interested, or whatever.
Yeah. Just get out of here, man. Ooh, send shivers on my spine. Well, that's it. That's all I've got for
Yeah, I mean, you guys quoted all the best ones when he said, I feel like grabbing you by the ear and screaming it. That was the best line in the movie.
That's hands down.
Yeah.
Best line.
It's a great threat.
Just because sorry, go.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was just I really do love at the end when he gets the new interns. And they just, dude, can we just talk about, they all look so innocent. Like, like
wonderful people.
Wonderful people.
I know that they're in the movie for 5. I know that they're in the movie for 5 seconds, but whoever did the casting literally just got like the 3 most innocent faces you could ever imagine for like such a horrible job. And he's just like, "Welcome to blah 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 news conglomerate," or whatever, and he's like, "You will learn to love this job." And then he's like 2 things to really remember, and he's like, "You need to listen." What does he say? He says, "Obey what I do."
He said, "Listen and then obey what I say."
Yeah, and it's like the same thing. And he's it's like, what?
The best line though is the very end when he says, "I would never ask you." Yeah.
No, well, he says, he says remember, and like first off, like side note, like remember, the word remember is like literally the most important word in the dictionary, in my opinion. And that's what catches my eye is he says remember first. He goes, "And remember," because like they're about to walk away back to their vans, and he's like, "And remember, I will never ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself." And I'm just like, bull crap, bro. You're a freak. They have no idea, bro.
Arguably,
but at the same time, it's actually low-key kind of
he's
literally willing to do anything because he's insane.
I know. That's what's so crazy is like, it's such a true saying, but such a false saying. Like if any of my employers said that, like obviously like they would ask me to do stuff, but like they would never reach any boundaries that like they would know it would be bad for me. But he's just like, "Oh, I'll never ask you to, well, let's not talk about Rick," you know? Like
oh, Rick, I love Rick. My favorite time when you first meet him, he's just like, "Do you know Los Angeles?" "Yeah, I grew up around this place." You know, "Hey,
he's good.
Doing what?" "I run he lies to him. "I run a successful TV news business." He's like, "I recently had an opening," right? He's like, "Whatever, okay."
That's what one of my favorite things is, Ty, is that the entire film is like almost like centered around building up his ego, because he just wants to be identified as a successful business. And the amount of times that is mentioned when they get that footage of the house, and we got this from this successful business, this film film company, and like the look on his face is like the most satisfied look ever. He's just like
So what do you think?
I have a TV. That sounds
cool. Thing ever.
Let me raise a question.
Yeah, does it have a GPS?
What do you think? Like,
yes, you're tired. Rick gets the job because his phone has GPS, and he's willing to work for free.
No, Ty, he starts at 35.
He starts for free, and then he's like, "I gotta have some money. I'm living out of a garage, dude." That poor Rick.
No,
Rick is the most tragic character.
But
so do you guys?
Question you're gonna do?
My question is like, do you think that like he was mainly like, what do you think Jake Gyllenhaal's character Louis Bloom was like driven by for the job? Like, it becomes an obsession. He's willing to literally drag bodies around people's own home that they're dead in and rearrange their bodies just to get better footage. Is he in it for the money because he knows that like better footage gets more money? Is he in it for a successful business so he can think that he is of quality in this capitalistic world? Or is it that he just truly likes film and likes being evil, and this is like a way of him like not having to like people?
I think it's like a those
Mix.
three things combined. The very first thing, was at the very beginning on the radio. You hear like they're talking about stocks, they're talking about unemployment on the radio. It's just like background noise when he's cutting the wire. You kind of understand that he's in a dire economic situation. You look at his apartment; it's like a one-bedroom hovel. He's got
And then
like
he re-mentions
everything's
it
in
when
the
he's
same
talking to Rick.
room. Yeah. And
In this
Rick,
economic
these are really
situation,
hard-
you have no
yeah.
room to negotiate. You're like, yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's
True.
hard right now on me, and it's so he is. It's definitely for money, but then he finds an obsession because in the end he's doing all these kinds of con things. He's willing to work at a construction site, but the construction site won't hire him because he's a thief, and because he's literally selling stolen parts from the guy. The guy realizes that he's like, I had a cop asking about some missing wire. Like I'm buying this stuff from you, and that's my load. I'm not gonna negotiate with you. I'm not gonna hire you because you're a freaking thief. But so yeah, it's probably that. But then it literally becomes an outlet for him because he actually is really creative. You could argue, but he's completely demented. So
I think it's really
It just
interesting. It
takes
kind of
off.
plays.
Finds
It's a
his
really good
calling.
question, Justin. I watched a video, or whatever, kind of talking about like the comparison of the cinematography and with how they deal with always showing Jake Gyllenhaal in the darkness and at least 50% of his face, and most of the times they're showing it in profile, to where you only see half of his face, so you never understand what's going on in his head. Like the only time you ever see his true emotions is the mirror scene, and you're like, what is bottled up in there? And
Dude.
I just really like it because there's multiple moments where he tries to, I feel like, be normal, and tries to kind of just like be like he even offered to be a free intern. So he offered to do something good, like free. He's like, I want to be like an intern and learn about
After
this or
he's
whatever.
murdered someone and stolen a chain link fence, Cameron, we
And
can't forget that.
And then the person, and so that's, I feel like it's him in the darkness trying to like adapt to the light, and then people in the light are like, you're way too bad for us, so go back to like where you came from. And so that's what like I feel like when he finds the being a Nightcrawler, which I think is so ironic that that's the name, what they call it like themselves. I was just like, oh my gosh. And then you find out that there's something. That's why I love that line where he's talking to the reporter or whatever. And he's like, it's amazing to find something that like brings like good money or whatever. And then also I feel like I'm like pretty darn good at too. And I felt like he just like was at like so happy with where he was at that he's like, I found my calling. Like my calling is this. So I felt like it was kind of a mix of just feeling satisfied with like, this is what I do, and I'm so messed up. Because there was this quote, I'm trying to remember who said it. I think it might have actually been Jake Gyllenhaal, or someone who said that that art makes the disturbed feel comforted, and then the comforted feel disturbed. And so that's I totally felt about like with every single like murder scene, it makes the comforted people who are in comfort feel like, oh man, that's so terrible, like that's so horrific what happened. And then like kind of the psychopath like him, it makes him feel comforted. And I was like, wow, that's really trippy.
Love it. Any last final minute of thoughts?
Because I didn't get to mention my second favorite thing. I'm glad you brought that up, Cameron, talking about his face being in the darkness, because I actually love the lighting. It's amazing how well this film looks, especially being shot at night, because it's really hard to make a film look good at night. I mean, you can hide a lot of things, but this one looks so visually cool. There's so many cool lights. It's just very well shot. And also, I love, a little bit background. Jake Gyllenhaal would sleep during the day and then be awake at night just so he could get into character, and he'd eat very little. And so that's why he just looks...
That explains the eyes bugging out of his head. That's what happens, dude.
So he literally went all method acting on us, so...
Like, Jake Gyllenhaal being a phenomenal actor is one thing. The other thing is the amount of weight he lost to get into character and to be able to do this role. Either, okay, let's see. He does his very next movie, Southpaw. That's like the next movie he did.
Jacked for that. He's an MMA fighter, right?
Yeah, he's a freaking boxer in Southpaw, which is the very next film he did, which is not even like that far apart between the time he did Nightcrawler and the time he did Southpaw. And he had to lose so much weight, go down to like 100 40-something pounds for Nightcrawler to play this just creep psycho.
Sleazy.
And then there's his acting performance. And then to get ready for Southpaw, he had to run like 8 miles a day and just like get ripped out of his mind. And just like, and that's what I know a lot of people's takeaway from Nightcrawler is like, oh my gosh, like Jake Gyllenhaal's character, like he had to lose so much weight. And it's just like, yeah, his acting's good, but like also the crap that he has to go through to like really be dedicated to this role. That's why Heath Ledger was such a good villain and maybe one of the best villains of all time, because he was so dedicated that he would only talk like the Joker even when he's not filming. It's just, the dedication is very beautiful.
Absolutely.
Love it.
For lack of a better
All right.
term.
So, any last minute thoughts you guys wanted to share?
No, just 100% recommend it.
Perfect. Yeah, would you recommend this movie?
Absolutely.
Highly.
Yeah, and I love it. I love when because I kind of prepared my roommates, because usually anytime I say people, I'm like, it's like the craziest movie ever. They're expecting like some Transformers type and so I was like, okay, I told them, I was like, this is a very slow film. And the entire time, it was funny, one of my roommates, he's like, I need to do homework so I can feel justified watching a movie at 4 p.m. And then, like, 15 minutes in, I look over and his laptop was closed. And I was like, yeah, I knew that wouldn't last long. And I even told myself, I'm like, I'm going to do homework while watching. And then, like, as soon as it started, I after the first scene, I didn't even bother trying. I was like, no, there's no way. It's so capturing.
I started this last night, and I'm like, yeah, I can skip a few scenes, and I watched it all the way
Heck
through.
no.
Could not skip a single scene. Like, I'm like, I'll just skip to my favorite watchable scene. Oh, this scene happens right after this one. Oh, yeah, this is the next scene I was going to logically watch. Like, it's... Man, this movie's so great.
Do you
Definitely
guys...
recommend it. Still one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. No one has changed my mind yet.
Ty, has your... Okay, like, if it's one of your top 10 movies of all time, like, obviously you have it, like, on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, like, it's very much up there near perfection. Does the relevance of it in 2020 have any change in rating compared to when we watched it in 2014?
Yeah, that was part of it, because I was surprised rewatching it, but I've actually enjoyed showing this movie. One of the favorite things that me and Jordan have discussed why we did this podcast is about sharing films that we know a lot of people actually haven't seen, not major box office successes, even though I know I say that saying that we reviewed movies like Joker on this podcast, but like the majority of these films that we watch, we genuinely have an appreciation and love for them, and we want more people to watch them. So we just hope someday, like, they will find its audience. Cult classics, you know. In
Ty, just out of curiosity,
think,
do you know exactly where it lands in your top 10? Because, like, for me, it's number 6.
Oh, that's a
Wow,
good question.
Cameron.
I don't have a ranked top 10. I just have the top 10 movies.
Dude,
but
out of
I
my
will
top
share
10,
it.
4 have Jake Gyllenhaal.
Dude, it would be the same. Dude, it would be the same for me. I'm guessing. Here, let me guess. Prisoners.
Prisoners. Yeah.
Yeah, Prisoners
I was
is number
gonna
10
say
for me.
Prisoners.
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko's number 8.
That's so funny.
Nightcrawler.
What's the Nightcrawler? Yeah. What was the fourth?
Oh, wait.
movie? Let's see.
Wait.
I was gonna guess Spider-Man: Far From Home, but I doubt that's.
I'm gonna
Zodiac,
guess.
right?
I'm gonna
Zodiac.
guess. I'm gonna guess Enemy.
No, that's number... Where is that for me? That's number 22. But it's...
Wait. And it's not
We need to give
Southpaw.
our top lists.
No, it's
yeah.
not Southpaw.
No.
October
Don't say
Sky.
Ty. Don't say Ty.
Okay. Yeah.
Prince of Persia.
No, it's Zodiac. Zodiac's my number 1
Oh,
film. It's my
I
favorite film of all
forgot
time.
about that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
That
So,
is also
yeah.
on Netflix, by the way, for those listening.
it is.
It's free.
That's really funny that Jake Gyllenhaal stars in like 4 of your, that's
Top
like almost
10, I
half
know,
of your
dude.
top 10 movies.
Not that I'm obsessed or anything. It was so funny. One of my roommates is like, because I was like, if you understand this film, I think you'll just understand me better. And he's like, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal kind of reminds me of you.
I love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
you're like,
glad a
I'll take that as a
sociopath
compliment.
who literally
Yeah.
lets one of his like closest inner circle people die reminds me like
Cameron,
you
I'm
and
glad you
me.
made the joke, because I was going to make a joke at the start of this podcast and say, hey, we found a movie of someone that's almost as narcissistic as Cameron, but I didn't. But now you mentioned it, I was going to do it like, look at that. Cameron
It's
in
funny.
the film.
Every single movie anyone ever watches, they always tell me. Like Jordan and Grant's always like, "Yeah, this crazy person reminds me of you." And I'm like, I'm glad the psychopath in every film reminds people of me.
You need to
Love
change
it.
your personality, my friend.
Yeah, I already had the whole hiccup talk with Dad. Change all this. You just pointed to all of me.
Just gestured to all of me. Love it. All right. We always end each podcast by saying, and just real quick, listeners, we will definitely be going over our top 10 lists. Stay tuned. We got half of Cameron's list, but we'll all prepare a top 10 list one of these days. We always end each podcast. We always end each podcast, Justin, by saying movies that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to seeing. Why don't you hit us up, Justin? Any movies that you've seen lately or that you recommend, and movies that you're looking forward to seeing soon?
I actually have been on a recent movie drought. What a sad life, am I right?
He's got a girlfriend. He's got a girlfriend. Explains it all.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how you find time to watch movies with girlfriends, man. My 2 kids, they give me all the time in the world. They respect my time. I can watch movies whenever I want. I can watch movies with them.
As far as like movies I haven't seen that I've recently watched, like honestly, like I really have not been watching movies lately.
Watching any TV or anything? It can be anything. You know.
Have you guys heard of Dark on Netflix?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
phenomenal.
the porn one?
Now it's dubbed
Yeah, the
over because it's a German film.
Well, you
Or
can
it's a
watch it in
German
its
TV
original
show.
film. We watch subtitled films.
But they do such a good job with like not having like the wording and like the sound like off. Like they do a really good job with it. It's like really phenomenal. I've been really looking forward to a movie called Super Dark Times that I have.
I want to do that in the podcast so good. I can't convince Ty to watch it.
You watched it? You watched it?
Super Dark.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince Ty to...
Do not say a thing. I want to go into it not knowing a whole lot.
Is that David Cronenberg's son?
No.
Or not? That's
Possessor.
It is, so...
Possessor. Yeah.
Real quick, just something about me. My favorite genre is like coming of age films. I don't know if that's...
I have a recommendation for you, Justin.
Okay.
Go watch Kings of Summer.
I love Kings of Summer. It's a good movie.
Okay, yeah. That's a
My
great
favorite
coming
movie
age
of
film.
all time is Dazed and Confused. Matthew McConaughey's first film.
Is that right? That's so
The
funny.
director's Richard
No way.
Linklater. Shout out to Richard Linklater. You are a genius.
I have a recommendation for you. Get Duped on Amazon Prime right now. That's a great coming of age film.
Okay.
It's all right.
It just
It's
landed
all right.
on Amazon Prime. No, but
Young
for
Offenders
coming of
is
age-
Let me
better.
write this down real quick.
Get Duped.
No, Young
D-U-K-E-D.
Offenders is better.
No,
Justin,
it's a Scottish.
me and Justin
it's
have had
better
many
coming of age.
conversations on Perks of
If
Being
you
a
like coming of
Wallflower.
age films,
Perks
Get
of Being a
Duped, you're gonna
Wallflower
love
is a phenomenal film. What's
I
the
have
other
not
one?
seen that one,
Get
but-
Duked and what?
Young
Duped.
Offenders.
Young Offenders.
You will tell. Yeah, you tell me which one is
Watch
better.
Get Duped. Yeah. Watch
Okay.
Get Duped, and you'll like it. You'll like.
No,
Get
Young
Duped
Offenders is
much
better.
But I am really looking forward to Super Dark Times. It's been on my watch list for probably
It's
a month
so
or
good.
two.
I want to do that on
And
the pod.
That type of coming of age, just like I love. Like also
Just in prep, just prep.
Yeah.
Get Duped is definitely more comedic. I don't know if you like the
Watch
dark
Super
No,
Super
like-
Dark
Yeah.
Times first.
what's that Hunt for the Wilder People, Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
That's coming of age somewhat. You could put it in that. You could flirt it with that genre, and that's
Okay,
comedic.
if you like Hunt for the Wilder People, one, you should have been on this podcast much earlier. Cameron, where is this?
My first episode I listened to of y'all's podcast
for the Wilder
was
People.
your Hunt for the Wilder People episode.
Yeah, we love those kinds of films. So if you like Hunt for the Wilder People and coming of age, Get Duped is literally your movie, my man. And ignore Jordan's recommendation.
Oh,
No,
boo.
Jordan said he's seen Super Dark Times, which he really likes, and it caught my eye. So we must have
Yeah.
some kind of
That's
liking.
right. Well, Cameron, you need to ditch all your other friends and you need to work on your relationship with Justin and make sure we.
Yeah,
have him.
Cameron. Why wasn't Justin on before?
Dude, when you guys mentioned Drew was on here, like I've known Drew for a while too. Cameron's obviously way closer to Drew, but like I
Bless
love
his heart.
I know Cameron and I
Bless his heart.
have talked about movies for years. So
We're just like bashing him on the pod. No,
yeah,
we
Drew,
love
if you're
having you on.
listening, you
It's not
suck.
like he listens to our
to your-
podcast. Not a chance.
Right. Or even bothers watching the movie when we have him on. For the podcast. That's our criticism. That's our criticism.
Wait, what movie was he on for?
To Martin Scorsese's Shutter Island.
Oh,
Yeah, we had him
DiCaprio.
on.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, he didn't bother to rewatch the film. So when we get him on, we're like, "Hey, Drew, what do you think about that?" He goes, "I think everything that Jordan
Plus, he
said
he
was
saw it
good."
before. He saw it before his mission too, which is even worse. So it was like 2.5 years of like.
Your memories.
Like, 2.5
Just,
years.
Yeah, he didn't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah.
yes,
Try to
please
talk about the movie 2.5
please
years
have me
later.
on again. I very much enjoyed this. Please have me
Awesome.
on again.
Oh, awesome. And Justin, do you have any social media presence that you want people to be aware of? You know, Instagram or Twitter or something like that?
I'm currently taken, ladies. No, you can follow me on Instagram. I deleted my Twitter. Or you can follow me on Facebook, Justin Watzaba. Or my Instagram is
Spelled exactly like it sounds, German.
it's I'm just in time on Instagram, but the I is a one.
Oh, but
I'm gonna stop talking.
Ooh, we should watch Just in Time or whatever that movie is.
In Time
called.
with Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake.
I like that
Worst
one.
Movie? Oh.
It wasn't bad.
Hey, it was a very good performance from Justin Timberlake. Like
It was a good
Cillian
performance
Murphy?
from Cillian Murphy, however you say it, Sicilian pizza. I don't know.
We learned that Sicilian. We learned it was Killian.
He also plays a creep, by the way. He's
amazing. Oh my gosh, and Red Eye.
He does not look 25 years old. I'm just gonna say it. He looks like a 40-year-old trapped in a world with 25-year-olds.
You think
Love
he looks
Cillian
like
Murphy.
25?
No, he doesn't look 25. Everyone's like perpetually young. He looks like the oldest mofo there. Sorry, he's so
Cillian
freaking old.
Murphy's just a scary human being. It's hard for him to make him look young.
Oh, I don't know. I love Cillian Murphy, dude.
Oh,
28 Days Later.
My man
Dark
crush,
Knight, all
sorry.
that stuff. Yeah.
Really?
All of his appearances. we have a well, Justin, we should clarify. We love this film by Danny Boyle, 28 Days Later. It's
Sunshine?
I know
And
of
Sunshine.
it.
Both Danny Boyle films and Sunshine and Cillian Murphy stars.
Yeah, why
in
haven't
those
we
films.
done a
I feel
Danny
like
Boyle
another-
movie on this podcast? I don't even know how we can call ourselves a podcast. We haven't done a Denis Villeneuve film. We haven't done a Quentin Tarantino film. I don't know, guys.
Well, they're not much hidden movie gems when they're the most iconic directors of all time.
Glorious-
Okay,
It's
jeez.
it's pretty under the radar though.
I don't know.
The most important.
I'm with Ty on
independent
this.
movie
I'm with
director
Ty
of
on
all
this.
time.
You can't have a Quentin Tarantino film that's under the radar.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, you could say Jackie Brown.
I will
because
say
not
I've
a lot of
only
people have
seen
it.
2 Tarantino films. I've seen
Django.
I've seen Django, and I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in movie theaters.
Very good.
And when you talk slow movies, boy, that movie's slow. Good slow.
Yeah, it's a good slow.
One
Well, if
with
you
creepy
like good slow,
dialogue too.
I would argue Inglourious is his best work. You should
Yes.
definitely check that one out.
Easily
if
his
you
best.
care at all
Yes,
and liked
Justin.
Once Upon a Time
It's a
in Hollywood,
masterpiece.
Slow Burn.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
it
It's what
literally is the height
inspired.
of his
It's what
powers.
it was so good. It made me want to get into film. It made me forget about sports and be like, movies are my life.
Whoa, Karen, too.
No, exactly. So, hey, that's great. And if you need to bounce, we want to respect your time, Justin. If you need to get off, that's fine. We're just all going to say our
Okay.
favorite films
I'll stay on.
and things that we've seen. All right. We always give that caveat because some of the guests, we can tell who likes movies and who really wants to go. They'll just bounce right away. I'm glad
Goodbye,
we're
guys.
sticking around. So, later.
Oh, sweet! I gotta go.
I
Okay.
gotta get going. Yeah, I gotta get going. Jordan, why don't we start with you? What are movies you've seen lately? What are you looking forward to seeing?
Don't steal mine, Chip.
I've started. Oh yeah. Well, I've watched
Don't
a bunch
don't
of.
steal the ones that we watched with me.
I know. I've watched a bunch of movies with Cameron. I'll let him talk about those because I've already seen those movies many times. So I'm gonna just say I started the newest season of Superstore, which is pretty fun. The main girl in it finally left the show. Hallelujah! She was the worst.
Is that the girl from SNL?
Fetch. I don't know if she's an SNL. She was like practically cheating
she's
on her
the
husband.
Main character? Oh, okay. I was gonna say the main character. You didn't like the main character of your show?
Yeah, because she's horrible. She's cheating on her husband. I was like, I cannot wait till this chick gets off, and she finally left the show, and I'm so happy.
Do they normally kick off the main characters of a show?
Who cares? She's gone.
Have you
and
seen
it's
Game
still
of Thrones?
amazing.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, Ty.
I guess,
Clearly,
yeah.
you haven't watched Game of Thrones.
Well, no, I'm just confused. Like, I don't know much about Superstore, but it sounds like you're literally describing. Well, what you said is like the main character. Is she just one of the main characters?
One
or,
of.
like, the...
Yeah, one
okay,
of,
got
yeah.
it.
It's
Okay,
like
it's
The
like an
Office.
ensemble. Okay,
It's like The Office.
Okay, so
It's
yeah.
like
If
losing
it was
Michael
like an
Scott,
Office crew, yeah,
except I didn't care for her.
but so not losing
Great
the
comparison.
quintessential character.
Like
Kinda
Oscar.
like when they fired Toby or not Toby. Who was it? The other guy.
Gabe?
They don't
Oh,
fire
I
Creed. Yeah,
hate-
they don't fire Creed. No, they don't
No,
fire
Gabe.
Creed. They fired
No, they don't fire Cameron.
the one episode where they fire the guy on Halloween. Remember?
Yeah,
He's
it's like he's a really early character. It's like season 3.
they just make him up. It's just like some character they
It's like Michael
Creed doesn't lose his job.
Dave Wallace requires Michael to like get rid of someone by the end of the workday.
Right.
And Michael doesn't know who to do.
Between Creed and some other rando that we've never seen. Anyway, we're off topic again. Jordan, what other movies?
Now I'm just thinking of that quote when he's like, Jim, Pam, and he's like, and he says a couple other names, and he's like, everyone else can go to. He's like, I can meet the rest of you at the office. At Port Richards, that's what it was. Okay.
Port Richards. We're going to Port Richards.
I've just been rewatching a lot of my favorite films of all time. Like I think I watched Mandy like 3 times this month. So
I thought you meant your own films. Jordan's been texting me videos that we've done on YouTube, like our Walking Dead parodies. He's been sending me screenshots and still shots.
Y'all watch Walking Dead?
Video we did.
I haven't seen.
Yeah. Video games, comic books, the TV show, all of it.
Be careful with what you say around Justin. He is the biggest Walking Dead fan of all time.
Oh, okay. Because I'm going to say,
to
out
my
of all
knowledge-
the 3 mediums, it's only the worst of the 3 mediums.
To my knowledge,
comic
I am the
books,
biggest
video
Walking
games.
Dead fan I've ever met.
Okay. Well, have you played the video game or read the comic
Yeah,
book?
have you?
I know the video game is critically acclaimed, so...
Very good. But
You call
the
yourself a
one
Walking
video
Dead
game of
fan
the
and you
year?
haven't played it?
Or
Biggest
Have you
fan
read
of
the comic books?
AMC's The Walking Dead
have you
TV
read the-
show.
Have you read the comic
Have you read the
books?
comic books?
I've online. I've never owned one.
Well, but have you read them all? Because they're done now.
No,
my gosh.
I've never. I haven't read them all because I
Jordan's
did.
like,
I did.
"You're
want,
not a
Jordan
fan."
Target.
I did.
I like
I did
zombies
want.
more.
I did want to go back, and I really wanted to compare the differences.
Oh,
with the
Don't worry,
writer.
Justin.
Okay.
We're not going to make or break you coming on the podcast again if you're not a true Walking
All right, good talking, guys.
According to Jordan's standard.
Chill the F out.
Biggest fan of the
After he gets
TV
off, he's
show.
like, that a-hole Justin was such a poser. Genuinely likes The Walking Dead. He's only seen 9 seasons of the show. He hasn't even bothered to buy a comic book. Oh my god. Dude, no worries. Love it. Yeah, we love all things Walking Dead, but I will
Nice.
be honest, out of the 3 mediums, the TV show is like the bottom of
Oh, I
my
know.
list.
No, I know. You guys are with the majority on this. Trust me. I know.
You know, but Jordan, we keep cutting you off. What else?
No,
You've been
that
watching your films?
that's pretty much it. And then
You rewatched Mandy, dude? I just got the Mandy poster in my thing, dude. I love Mandy.
and I watched Slumdog Millionaire. Right.
Freaking hippie weirdos.
Oh, I know. I saw your poster, and that's why I rewatched it because I was just like,
Yeah, dude.
and I
That
need to
movie's
buy
so
that poster.
freaking
It's amazing.
Dude, we'll have to review that one on the pod.
Yes, that's it.
Freaking Mike, dude. People like Nick Cage come around once in a millennia. Cameron, how about you, man? What have you?
Oh,
seen
and I'm
that
looking
you
forward
really-
to seeing his new movie. Nick Cage's new movie called Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh wait, isn't he gonna be starring in a movie like The Tiger King? Isn't he gonna be the Tiger King? I heard that.
Oh, I heard that. I don't know.
Rumor.
That's a rumor.
Is it a rumor?
Yeah.
Oh man, they'll have to do it. I'm sure they will though. But
Okay,
I
sorry,
hope it
Cameron.
Really happens.
Okay, well, I've just been on like a recent binge of movies and just only been watching masterpieces. Holy fudge! So I already mentioned last week of some of the ones I watched. I just wanted to reiterate how amazing 500 Days of Summer is, masterpiece. And then also recently I just watched American Sniper. Holy cow! It makes me appreciate our country and all the freaking crap that veterans do to keep this country amazing. And oh man, the hard adjustment that they have to go through, and just how terrible war is. And then I also I saw The Devil, one of the most fetching, insane revenge movies I've ever seen in my life. What?
That movie sucked, bro. That movie sucked.
It is amazing. It is so crazy. Like, there were so many uncomfortable parts that I was like, what the freak am I watching? But holy cow, dude. Talk about... When he gets his head chopped off at the end, I was like, what the fuck? But then also I watched one of my new favorites. Just recently added it to my 10 out of 10 list, which is rare for me, is The Departed. Holy crap. Talk about a fantastic film, amazing writing.
Cameron, and was that the
Just-
first time you watched it, Cameron?
Yeah, first time I watched it with Martin
Yeah,
Scorsese.
see-
I've
See,
had it on my watch list
and
for
that's why,
ages.
again, just hindsight. That's probably why I gave you so much trash for wanting to review Shutter Island. I'm like, if you've seen Martin Scorsese's long film history, there's plenty of other films. But I'm glad you saw it. And a quick question: have you
That
seen
doesn't
Raging
change
Bull
the fact
yet?
that Shutter Island is still one of my favorites. So
Yeah, but it's not
Haven't
better
seen
than
what?
Departed. Have you seen The Raging Bull?
That's old. We haven't watched old movies yet.
Get on it,
I haven't
younger
seen-
generation.
I haven't seen the Raging Bull. No.
Watch Raging Bull, dude. You want to watch a good Martin Scorsese character film? That's your film.
Dude,
Watch
talk
Raging Bull.
about not knowing what will happen at the end of a movie. The Departed. That is one where you just...
I know. Cameron, he's
you-
like, it was at a 10, and then at the end, he was like, no! He's like, I just dropped it. He's like, it was a 10 until now.
And then the moment that fetching Mark Wahlberg walks
Mark
in like a
Wahlberg walks
ball
in.
and he's just
Oh,
like
With his little booties, his little shoe
fine.
booties. Yeah, dude, that
he
is
has little
crazy.
foot booties and just unloads.
That
Oh my-
elevator
okay.
scene. That elevator scene is so
The
tense.
elevator-
Oh my god.
Okay, my favorite quote from that movie, which literally made me so happy, when he's like, when Mark Wahlberg insults fetching Matt Damon, and he's like, "You two-faced." I love that so much. Oh my gosh! And Mark Wahlberg is just like, he is the most unreasonable human being on earth. Like every single interview he's in, he's just like so annoying and just like ruthless to everyone. I love it. He doesn't give it.
You do realize that he implanted that character and put him in the other guys and partnered with Will Ferrell.
Oh,
like,
yeah, absolutely,
literally, it's
yeah.
the same character, just less crass. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so funny.
it was an amazing show. They just did. I loved it. I loved like the combination of like Matt Damon, who's like the pretty boy, perfect boy, who's actually the worst person, and then Leo, who's like the worst, like the sleazy kid who, like with a crime family, but who's actually a good kid trying to do good. And I loved it because it's like the both perspectives, and it's like, that moment he deleted his file, I was like, because then you're like, okay, nobody knows about it. And then I was like, where the heck did Mark Wahlberg go? I'm like, maybe they killed him with the mob boss and everything. There's just so much happening, and then it just ended so satisfying with freaking Mark Wahlberg just blowing Matt Damon's brains. I was like,
Hey, Jordan, hey Jordan, don't get angry at me for spoiling other movies on our podcast.
I know Cameron
Nightcrawler.
spoiled too.
Spoiling the ending of Departed,
I know
yeah.
Cameron literally just gave the very most important part of
Yeah,
that
we
movie.
really can't end a movie podcast without ruining some other ending to a quintessential film. So,
yeah.
very sorry, listeners.
But I mean, I don't really feel bad. Departed came out in 2006.
Still watch it,
so
yeah. You can still
14 years.
watch it
You
and
got
still
14
get blown away.
You got 14 years to watch.
I'm so glad nobody spoiled it for you, Cameron. I'm shocked you never saw, because they
I
spoil
know,
it on
Cameron, I had to
WatchMojo.com.
spoil, but I'll be fair though, Cameron. I knew about the spoilers, and it still absolutely blew me away because I still didn't see it coming. Again, it's like the way that Anyway,
And then
all
also, what
all
I'm
the
looking
scenes.
forward to, I need to finish Memories of a Murder. And then also I've been watching Mandalorian Season 2. It's really awesome. They threw in an homage to Ahsoka Tano, which they're going to include from Clone Wars, which if you're a nerd like me, you love it.
Is that the girl with the 2 tentacles for head?
Yeah, orange skin.
Orange, yeah.
And
Is
then
she
also
related to Kit Fisto?
no.
I was just trying to bring the nerd out in you.
Right. It's like, yeah, but you haven't read a single Walking Dead comic, so shut up.
No, and then there was something else I added to my watch list. Oh, I also wanted to rewatch Inception, just because. Holy cow! I was talking to Jordan about this. Like every single time I start that, like when I started the film, I wanted to rewatch it, and I was like 20 minutes in, and I was just like blown away at the fetching cast in that film. I'm like, I forgot that what's his name is in it.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Tom Hardy.
I forgot Tom Hardy was in it. I'm like, what the heck? And then Cillian Murphy's in it. I'm like, what the fudge? How did I get this like master cast? And then directed by Christopher Nolan. I was like, no wonder this is a freaking masterpiece of a film. And then one of the most like complex topics or like the strangest topic. I just want to rewatch it just to appreciate it even more.
I wish I could have been on y'all's Tenet episode.
Me too.
Oh man, Cameron missed out, dude.
No.
We just
Oh, that's the one
talked
you
and
missed.
talked
That's
and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sure missed having him on. Well, awesome. I watched, what was it called? The Death Wish, which I know we just did a mini episode. So if you're listening, you probably heard us just review Death Wish with Bruce Willis. And then that's pretty much it. We watched a few episodes of Alex Rider. It's like a new TV show on Prime. Still watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and watched a few new episodes of no, I already mentioned that one last week. So yeah, that's
But I know what you're looking forward to.
yeah. What am I looking forward to, Jordan?
Unhinged.
Yeah, we are probably going to be doing Unhinged here pretty soon. So
Yep.
I will definitely be watching Unhinged, Russell Crowe's documentary. You know, just him living through the year of 2020. Living through a year of 2020.
Documentary of how he deals with road rage.
Dealing with his fellow man on Earth.
It's
in the year
it's
2020.
honestly it's red eye. It's red eye in a truck.
Well, is there a term for Karen as a Kevin? Like a Karen
like a
for a
guy
mayor?
Oh, they have
Yeah,
mentioned
like a Kevin,
social
what do they
media has
call him?
mentioned it. I don't know. I can't remember what
Karen
it is
and
though.
Kevin or something like that. Would it be a Kevin? Because we actually know a Karen and Kevin couple. I just feel bad.
Oh, you
'Cause,
hang out with
They
them?
do nothing to disturb. Yeah, they did nothing to deserve those two names, and they're not a que ver. Nothing to see, no correlation. But yeah, that's funny. I wonder what the male version. That's it would be another title for Unhinged, right? Just the Karen or whatever, Karen of 2020. Okay, well, I should stop
Karen,
talking.
Wait,
trash.
two more.
I haven't
Karen,
seen
tell
it.
me to put on your mask.
Real quick, I have two more that I'm very much looking
You're all
forward to.
dead. Yeah, what's that, Justin?
One is the new 007 movie, No Time to Die.
Yes.
That was the original release date was supposed to be my birthday in April. Corona took a
And then
poop on that, and then also Top Gun sequel. Very much looking forward to that.
Yes,
It'll have
excited to
Miles
see that.
Teller, who's a very underrated actor.
Miles
So-
Teller. Oh yeah, Miles Teller. I love him.
He
War
plays
Dogs, Jordan.
he plays
Yeah.
Goose's son.
Whiplash.
Yeah, he'll play Goose's
Yeah,
son
Goose's
in
son. That'll be
the
fun.
sequel. So
That'll be fun to watch then. Oh, that'd be great. He kind of reminds me of a young Tom Cruise, just a bigger nose.
He was
Not
supposed
as
to be
attractive.
Han Solo, which would have been amazing.
He would have
But
been really good.
Would have been a better Han Solo
Dude,
than
he
the
is
first
so-
guy they
he is-
auditioned.
he's so-
The first
he's so
guy
good.
they auditioned. The first guy they auditioned was that dumb actor. I love him to death.
He's
Miles
so good.
Teller's
Where did the two
Miles
of us in
Teller's
War
so
Dogs?
good.
Let me finish.
He was good in War Dogs. No, Cameron, have you seen Whiplash?
No, I know. I need to watch that with him.
Whiplash, dude.
No, I know. I haven't. You haven't seen Whiplash. Have you seen Thank You for Your Service?
No.
Then you know nothing about Miles Teller, Cameron.
I was literally just saying that he's good in War Dogs.
But Whiplash
Oh.
is his best performance.
Frequently, along with J.K. Simmons' best performance.
Are you
Yes.
sure?
Great ensemble.
Have you guys seen Fantastic
Best
Four?
protagonist and
Have you
Shut up, shut up.
yeah. Have you seen this great film called Fan Four Stick? Oh,
Dude,
it's
how
so
they have
good.
that, and they had Michael B. Jordan, dude. They had a solid cast in that, and they just absolutely.
Kate
Oh my
Mara,
God.
or not Kate Mara? What's that girl's name? She
It was
so
probably
good.
Michael Bay. That's honestly probably what it was.
Oh, what was his name? He blamed the studio though. He's like, yeah, the studio, and the studio came back and they're like, we didn't say anything. We gave you all the money.
Dude, you know who Kate?
Don't turn this on us, bro.
Dude, Kate Mara. Kate Mara reminds me a lot of Starlight.
Kate Mara.
Was it Kate Mara? I keep saying that name. Is that the same one? Or
Dan-
I think
It's
Kate.
it's the girl from Fantastic Four.
I know the name.
Are you sure that's Kate Mara? Because I thought Kate Mara was a girl in
It's
Hot
Kate Mara.
Fuzz. Or Hot Rod. On Hot Rod. Who's the
No.
girl in Hot Rod?
Isla
What's her
Fisher.
name? Isla Fisher. You're right. It is. Okay.
Who's married
I'm
to
getting my
Sacha Baron
actresses
Cohen?
confused.
Don't know how, but
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I know,
And
it's such a
when you
weird
look
combo.
Don't even bother looking up celebrities married to celebrities because it gets really weird. You're like, I didn't even know they like knew
Or
each
like
other.
fetching Mike, or like Ben Affleck dating my wife from War Dogs. Oh, fudge! He's dating.
What?
dating,
Like dating your
The
Anna
do-
de Armas. Anna de Armas.
wow.
Wait, Ben Affleck's dating Donna de Armas. What happened to?
Tell it to him in
Jennifer?
gibberish.
Yeah. Wait. What happened to? What's her name? Jennifer Lopez. Is
Yeah,
he
dude,
no
that is the
longer-
greatest line in that.
That's over.
Oh,
now,
he's
now
not?
tell him in
Oh,
gibberish.
that's all I know. Yeah. I don't even know.
Dude,
I can't
Jonah
keep up
Hill,
with this.
he's a kind of a, I feel like an underrated actor. I feel like he was really overhyped, and then like everyone just like dropped him off after 22 Jump Street.
Well, he just
And
needs to
Wolf on Wall
gain
Street.
another 30 pounds and he'll be back at. I'll be honest. When he's thin, I don't like him, but when he gains the weight, I like him better. I don't know why, dude. Watch Moneyball, you'll understand.
Oh,
And then watch.
I love Moneyball.
And then watch freaking watch Wolf of Wall Street. You'll understand. You're like, yeah, he's much better fat. For some reason, he like lets loose, but when he's thin, he like got something to prove.
And
It's like,
21
no,
Jump Street,
you're
he's
much
really
better
good,
the
too.
fat guy. You're much
Whatever,
better the
you're
fat guy.
obsessed with Maniac, Ty, and he's like a toothpick in that.
Yeah, because he's literally suffering from manic depression and schizophrenia. Anyway, whatever. That's a great series, but again, actually, Emma Stone carries. Well, I don't know if she does more.
Didn't like it. It was weird.
You should watch Maniac, everyone. That's a great
No.
series. It's a great episode.
Is it a
Great
miniseries?
8 episodes. Yeah, miniseries on Netflix.
Is it deep or is it
Great.
dumb? Man, it's dumb.
It's deep, deep,
Jordan with the
deep.
facts.
Yeah, Jordan with misguided facts. Jordan is
Jordan with
what's the
CNN
acronym again?
facts.
He's no. Yeah. He's just you're just misguided, Jordan. You don't know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
Ty, should we bring out the list of movies you like? And then we'll see.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it, Bill and Ted. So pipe down over
Jordan,
there.
you're
Suspend it.
just
Let's
using
wrap this
fear.
up.
False evidence appearing.
False evidence
what was
appearing
it?
real.
Appearing real. False evidence appearing real. That's all you're doing right now. All right. I think that's it.
Yep.
Everybody, write in your emails. Write us emails, futromovies@gmail.com. If you want to hear us review a movie or have any suggestions or questions you'd like to ask us. And please leave us a 5-star review. Screenshot Futro Movies.
Don't send us an email if you're our mother.
Yeah, Mom, get off the podcast.
Foul.
Okay. Yeah, never want to see another email from my mom.
Email.
Anyway, real quick, screenshot. You listening to Futro and post it on your Instagram. Get more people to listen to this, and then maybe we can get
Right.
sponsors and run ads throughout the podcast.
We're also on
'Cause I know
you can
I know
find us on
podcast
Fu-
listeners love.
You can find us
people
on
that listen to
Spotify
ads.
as well.
Find us on Spotify and Apple Podcast or wherever you get podcasts. All right, this is Futro Movies signing off. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.